I have clear sound, so it might be something on your end. My problem is I have a delayed video with my voice, so.
Okay, well, I have to sign in with my phone to get the sound today because none of my computers want to get back to work. They'd rather have time off. Sorry.
Okay, Michelle has signed off and we are now recording. Today is Thursday, January 7th, 9 a.m. This is the meeting, the regular meeting of the Sustainable Old Lyme team. On the line here, we have Secretary Maureen Plumley, Selectwoman Mary Jo Nozel, Holly Lyman, Chair of the committee, or the team, I should say, and Member Patsy McCook. Okay, as acting chair for the moment, I want to welcome everyone. And please let me know if you're having trouble hearing me because I know that my video is delayed. And I don't know if that's affecting my audio. All right, the first thing up on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the special meeting on November 10th, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Is it necessary to read the minutes to remind people what we...
No, everyone should be reading the minutes that are sent to them ahead of time.
I move to accept the minutes.
Thank you, Patsy. Does someone second that or discussion?
I think Holly and Mary Jo were muted.
Holly, if you're muted, do you want to second the minutes or make
Yes, I do want to second the minutes. So.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. I think everyone should be prepared coming into the meeting to save us time. We always have so much to go over. I think it's really necessary to read the minutes before arriving. I think that's typical what to do. Okay, our agenda, Maureen was so nice to get this agenda put together before she left for South America for December, but I don't know, Mary Jo, perhaps you can advise on this. It's agenda, we have some items we need to discuss that aren't on this agenda. Maybe we need to change how we do the agendas in the future, but we need to discuss how you roll and how to get the agenda done in the future.
Okay, if it's a regular meeting as opposed to a special meeting, you vote, move to add different things to the agenda, so that's fine. So you can make someone can make a motion to add whatever you want. It can be seconded and goes on the agenda. If it's in a special, you can't add anything.
Okay, so this is a regular meeting, and Mary Jo, you broke up a little bit, but I think what you were saying we could do is make a motion to add something to the agenda and get someone to second it.
As long as it's a regular meeting. Yep.
This is a regular meeting. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to add to the agenda two things: a discussion of the officers of the team, and also preparing agendas for future meetings. Does anyone second that?
I second.
All in favor or discussion?
Wait a minute.
Aye.
Hold on a second, please. This is Maureen. I'm having difficulty with the hearing with the microphone here. I only get every other word. And so if you're talking too fast, I'm not getting it. And I don't know what the proposal is. Can you, Mary Jo, would you repeat what you're proposing?
Sure, Maureen. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, every other.
what I'm saying is under FOI, if you have a regular meeting, boy, you're seeing my face awfully close. Sorry about that. If you're having a regular meeting, someone can make a motion, add a point of discussion to the agenda. It's seconded and it's added to the agenda. If it is a special meeting, you cannot add anything to the agenda. So the motion is motion to add to the regular agenda is looking for a second.
So Mary Jo, your audio is breaking up quite a bit. So we can kind of follow what you're saying, but it really is broken up quite a bit.
Okay, I'm going to sign off and come back on my computer, see if that helps.
You're
Okay.
talking too fast. Mary Jo, if you're talking too fast, I cannot get it. I have no idea what you're saying.
Maureen,
Sorry.
Maureen, can you hear me right now?
Yes,
Okay.
barely.
All right, Maureen, this is something on your audio. Mary Jo is speaking
Right.
very slow. Maureen, listen, please. Maureen, Mary Jo is speaking very slowly. I am very loud right now. This is something on your end. So do we need someone else to take notes for you because your audio is having trouble? Patsy, are you able to hear everyone okay?
Yes.
Would you please take notes to share with Maureen for what she misses?
Okay.
Thank you. And then between Maureen and Patsy, we can be sure that our notes are complete.
I'm having a little trouble hearing. I'm getting a new modem, hopefully today or tomorrow. If my bandwidth gets stretched out, I will stop my video. I'm not dropping off the meeting. I just try to spare bandwidth by stopping the video.
Holly, it might be best to do that because we have so much to go over. We've just spent 10 minutes
Okay.
audio.
Okay.
If it would help people for me to not be on video, I'm happy to do that, but we have a lot to get done this morning.
Yeah.
Does anyone need me off video to hear me better?
I'm fine with you, but others, I don't know.
And Maureen, just so you know, you're on mute.
Okay, so Patsy, you and I can share notes and I'll just blend them together afterwards.
Very good.
Okay, thanks, everyone.
If worse comes to worse, could people rely on the chat function to communicate? If we're having too much trouble, it's way over on the right. If you need to send some words out to everyone.
I don't know how that works for a town meeting.
Okay.
I mean, we can try it, and then if someone, I've just opened up that chat window for myself to see if anyone writes anything.
I'm on, finally, I'm on just voice.
Is that Tink? Hi.
Cynthia, yeah, Tink.
Okay,
Hi.
so we've got joining the meeting, Cynthia Wilhauer. Tink, just so you know, we're having a lot of technical difficulties right now.
Well, I couldn't get in. So I'm part of the technical difficulty. I was in briefly. I flashed in briefly, and then I never got any further than that.
Okay, so we're now in the recorded portion of our meeting. We've approved the minutes, and we just we're about to vote on adding to this agenda of the regular meeting a discussion of the officer positions and the agenda, creating agendas for the future. So,
Okay.
all in favor of doing that?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay. Maureen's on mute. Very good. Okay. Holly, would you like to share with everyone right now your thoughts on the chair position?
Oh, and what I emailed out to everybody as well was that I am resigning from the chair position. And I would like to suggest that Cheryl take that position over because she has been leading everything for at least the last 5 months. And I'd be happy to help out in another capacity. But let's just start out with saying that I'm resigning. And am I allowed to nominate Cheryl as the new chair? I think I am. Or would someone from the floor like to nominate Cheryl as our chair? Can people hear me?
I'll
I hear
nominate
you.
Cheryl.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. I second the motion.
Okay.
All in favor, I guess?
Aye.
I'd say aye.
Okay.
Aye.
So
I don't know if that's going to affect my Alan. I don't know if that's going to affect us. Okay, so we're going to put Cheryl down as chair, and I'd like to nominate Holly as vice chair.
Seconded.
All in favor?
I
Aye.
second.
Okay,
Aye.
very good.
okay, thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Holly. You did a remarkable job leading us through a long year. So,
Well, we slept along, and boy, we were so lucky to get some really wonderful people working on this,
yes, absolutely.
like you, like everybody. We've got a great group.
I second that.
So
Okay.
For the record.
So the second thing that hi, Mary Jo. So we just voted on switching chair and vice chair. The second thing that we asked to add to or just approved adding to the agenda is a conversation about agendas. So Maureen has been very helpful in putting agendas into town hall early every time. But I think this is just how I've seen it on other committees that I've been on. It might be a good idea to have more of an input from committee members every month on what goes on the agenda and to hand it in maybe the week before, because it would be good to, have a more up-to-date list of what we want to talk about. And
Makes sense.
does that work for people? Should we perhaps change that procedure? Maureen, we can put out an email to everyone on the committee to see if they want to add anything to the agenda, and then we can submit that to Michelle from there.
may I ask?
Okay, so what I could do is I generally publish the agenda about midway through the previous month of the meeting, the upcoming meeting. I could do it a little earlier and say submit by a certain date for items to put on the agenda. I don't like to do the agenda at the last minute.
Holly, what did you want to add?
I was going to ask whether new business maybe should be a line item on the agenda at the end, just to give us a little flexibility.
Yeah, I'd like to have old business, new business, public comment, because people want to invite people to these meetings. And we have so many action items that we can probably just focus on a couple every meeting, not every single one every meeting.
And if I may, the agenda actually has to go to the town clerk, not Michelle. So if we want to get Michelle's WebEx information, when you send out the request for input onto the agenda, I would include Michelle at that time, and she'll come back with the WebEx link to all of us, and then we can just cut and paste that to the agenda.
I typically do. I typically do that in advance so that I had the WebEx connection for this meeting when I sent out the agenda in early December. That was an abnormal date for me to do it, but I know you understand why I had to do it that early.
Right.
So I received those from Michelle whenever I asked for them, and the minutes are not submitted to Michelle.
Okay.
Minutes and the agenda go to a different office.
Right. I misspoke. I knew that about the town clerk as well. My concern is that and December is a different issue. My concern is I want everyone to have input on the agenda, because once that agenda gets submitted, it's very hard and confusing to change it. So I want to make sure, and that agenda isn't due until what, like the week before? I think it's more accurate
Right.
to have an agenda that goes in closer to the date of the meeting rather than, you know, a month early.
Yep. It's Mary Jo. You have to have it in to the town clerk 24 hours before.
Yeah. So if we,
One of the things I do for the conservation is I've got those categories: new business, old business, but also broken out as to current or particular focus issues. So that pretty much stays the same. And then within that, I mean, for any new business, you can introduce that at the meeting.
okay, I think that's fine, but I think we want to look at these agendas before they're submitted closer to the meeting date.
You want to review the agenda before I submit it?
Yeah, I'd like the whole committee to, in case there's something to add. For instance, apparently St. Anne's Environmental Group would like to come be part of our meeting. I'd like to have on the agenda ahead of time, you know, that St. Anne's is presenting to us or something to that effect. And it would be good for the public to know that rather than for that to just be brought up during the meeting as new business.
Well, then that could be submitted to me in the early part of the month when I'm putting together the agenda. I really don't want to wait for people to approve the agenda, collect all the information. That's too much.
Maureen?
Yeah?
The other committees I'm on, that is how it's done. I think everyone needs to be inclusive. You need to know what people are thinking about bringing up on the agenda. If you don't want to do it that way, I mean, we can figure out a way to get that done and submitted, but I think it needs to be an inclusive process where everyone's having input to what goes on the agenda.
Yes, and I'm suggesting that I will invite them to provide information, which I'll put into the agenda.
Okay.
Okay. Whatever you want. Fine.
I thought that's what
Cheryl, can I? This is
Cheryl.
Ting, can I say something?
So you want the categories of new business, old business, public comment. What else?
Maureen, or to the group,
Yeah.
I know I'm not a voting member, but if I had some templates from a couple other committees that I could send to you all with, and you could decide what you want on the categories of the agenda, would that be helpful?
Sure.
I know that you've all been on other committees, so I don't know if that'd be helpful.
Well, Cheryl, just tell me again. You want the categories of old business, new business, public comments, and then you want input from the members on particular items that they're addressing, right?
So I'm going to give you an example. Economic Development Commission, the chair puts that agenda together every month. The week before the meeting, he sends out his draft agenda to all the members of that committee and says, does anyone want to add anything to this agenda or clarify anything? and he gives everyone 24 or 48 hours to review it, and then the chair sends that to the town clerk. What I want is everyone to have the chance to make sure our agenda is up to date and includes things they want to talk about. I don't see us talking about all 13 action categories every month. I want to be able to say this month we're talking about whatever, pollinator pathways and equity training or whatever the case may be. I want to have not a super detailed agenda, but I want to have an agenda where the public can decide if they want to attend that meeting or not based on the agenda.
Okay, so that I understand that. Do you want to create the agenda, the initial agenda?
I mean, I can.
I'm not, do you want me to send out the agenda, or do you prefer to do it?
Either way is fine with me. I just want us as a committee to connect the week before the meeting to say, is there anything you want to add to this agenda?
Okay. All right. Well, that I can do that. And you'll have it so you can respond and tell me anything else to put in there.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
Yep. No problem.
All right. Next on the agenda, Maureen has update recognition of achievement by Sustainable Connecticut. So I think we're all aware that we accepted that award and it's now in Town Hall, which is very nice, in the lobby. Well done, everyone.
Nice. Clap,
Okay.
clap.
Clap, clap.
I would like to call everyone's attention to, I guess, Cheryl, you wrote this, page 10 in the Old Lyme Events magazine, which is a beautiful summary. If anybody wants to know, if anybody wants to share it or send it on to other people, there it is. Beautiful summary and a great pat on the back for how the movement, the sustainable movement, is very important to the town. So it's all right there, a beautiful column.
Terrific. Thank you.
And also, just FYI, the article that I submitted for Conservation Commission is on page 12. So it pretty much dovetails one with the other. And it's good things to share. And just to remind people, if you ever want to share anything like that, or actually give the magazine to a neighbor or somebody who's interested, the post office normally has them collected in their recycling bin where the boxes are, the post office boxes, and you can often get, just reach in and take as many as you want.
Very good.
Cheryl, this is Tink. We can say that it was used by the Sustainable Lyme Committee to spur people on the articles you mentioned.
That's right. They shared that at their meeting yesterday for the Town of Lyme's sustainable effort. Okay, should we move on to discussion of potential priorities for 2021?
Yes. I had trouble with sustainable site and seeing, finding our record.
Okay, I can explain that. That's kind of a technicality. Just don't even go on there to look for what we have already, because they started. I don't want to spend too much time getting into technicalities right now, but they kind of have us start from scratch, but not really, because our records are in there, but you can't see how many points we have. So we have 320 points, and we're now working towards silver, which is 400 points, and thinking long-term for gold when they create gold. So Sustainable Connecticut's come out with their whole list of all the actions for 2021. What I can do later today is send out a link to that specific page And then also on our webpage on the town website, there's a link to Sustainable Connecticut. So anyone can go to that link and then click on actions, and they can see all of the things that Sustainable Old Lyme or Sustainable Connecticut, the initiatives that they recognize. Okay. I think the most efficient way to do this is to go through the categories and to just highlight things that we already have underway. And please, if you have something underway, bring it up if I'm not mentioning it. And I need to pull up the screen. Okay. 1 second. So the first category, you're going to see a screen share in just a second. It's going to be delayed, so don't worry about it too much. But the first category, someone can just give a shout out when you see my screen. But the first category is inclusive and equitable community impact. This was the old category 9. We're going to be optimizing for equity. That's when you do that equity style of initiative. We're going to try to do some of our other projects in an equitable way to get points for that. We already have 2 of the 3 required for silver.
And we can see the screen now.
Okay, terrific. So the other 2 items under equity are participating in equity training and developing and adopting a statement on equity. So participating in equity training, I know some of you did that in the past, but it wasn't something that you got points for. So I just need to know, you have to have a higher level municipal staff person, someone on our committee, and I think an elected official participate in Sustainable Connecticut's equity training. Mary Jo, did you go to their training? Or have you gone? You're muted.
Oh, I have not.
I think maybe in the next month or so. I did email Sustainable Connecticut to see what their dates are, but perhaps, I know Holly has gone to their training, but we don't have credit for it because they didn't have this as an action item. But perhaps we can do some planning over the next month by email on an elected official, perhaps such as yourself, Mary Jo, a senior staff person, and someone on our committee, either Holly's points or I'm happy to go for the equity training.
Oh, I'd love to go on behalf of us if given the opportunity.
Okay, so I'm finding out dates hopefully soon, and I'm going to share that with our committee, and we can plan on getting the points for that and the training. Right? Obviously, it's important.
Yes.
And the other thing I know we're kind of looking at is the develop and adopt a statement on equity. I want to send that detail out to the committee members to really think about over the next month or so if that's something we should and can pursue in a reasonable way. Okay, the thriving local economies. The only thing I'm going to say on this is that I'll stay in touch with the Economic Development Commission to find out, to figure out if they're providing resources or supports to local businesses or roundtables like they did last time so that we can capture that. But I don't think we're really pursuing anything based on our past discussion in that area right now. Okay, well-stewarded land and natural resources. I sent an email out to the Conservation Commission members with some thoughts on initiatives that they might be interested in, and I don't know if that was brought up at their meeting the other night. Maureen, do you know?
Yes, I do know, and it was not. So there was not room in the time frame to address that, but it's on the agenda for February.
Terrific. Okay, just keep us posted on that. That's great.
Absolutely, thanks.
The other thing another one in this section is develop an open space plan, which the Open Space Commission has, and I have their plan, and I'm going to be working with the open space member who was the lead writer on the plan to match up what Sustainable Connecticut's looking for with what's in what's in Old Lyme's plan, and I think we're going to be in really good shape. I think we're going to get some good points on that 3. And then also in this section, pollinator pathways. So Pollinate Old Lyme is now started, sort of. Suzanne Thompson and I had a Zoom meeting with potential partner organizations in Old Lyme in December. Organizations like the Duck River Garden Club and the Land Trust and the Tree Commission and Conservation and the library, the schools, the Environmental Club. So we had we had 2 sessions to orient people on what we want to do. And different organizations are thinking about their own anchor gardens or educational opportunities. And we're going to be kicking off to residents in Old Lyme. The date is to be determined, but it's going to be in the next 2 weeks or so. We have a Facebook page we're going to have just for Pollinate Old Lyme. And we're going to have a website on regional pollinator pathway website, and we'll take it from there. So that is now underway.
Cheryl,
Yeah.
this is Tink. You have St. Anne's part of that, and I think it might be a good way to bring in the other churches. I don't know about whether the Catholic Church has gardens, but certainly the Old Lyme Congregational Church does.
Yes, I think someone from the Congregational Church was invited or came. I don't have my list here. We had 26 people participate in our afternoon Zoom meeting, and I want to say like 8 or 10 people in the evening. So I may be forgetting, but the woman who runs the Tree Commission, Joan DiCamillo, I think her name is.
Joanne DiCamillo.
Joanne DiCamillo, thank you. She also happens to be the lead gardener at the Catholic Church. So good connection for that.
Good. But that leaves out the Congregational Church so far, I think. We have to get them in there.
Okay. All right. I'll double check on, I know they were invited, so I'll double check on their participation. That's great. Write that down.
I'll tell you who we invited was Carolyn Wakeman, and she is interested. She wasn't at the meeting, but she is interested. But so it's a good way to connect the churches.
Okay, great. I'll talk to Carolyn then. Excellent, thank you. Okay, number 4, vibrant and creative cultural ecosystems. The one that is going to be interesting to work this year is providing an arts and culture program for youth. And that is something that we can get equity points on too, because we can involve youth in that planning. And I'm also hoping we're going to get to our collaboration with the town of Lyme, but I'm hoping this is something we can do with the town of Lyme and get some points there as well, in addition to just being good collaborators. But this is where you bring together organizations and youth themselves to kind of inventory what arts and cultural program is available for young people in our town or towns, and then to think about what is missing or what might be of interest to young people, and then perhaps go for some grants to provide that in a summer program or something like that. So I'd really like to pursue that. And I think we have potentially good partners if we were to work on that sort of thing with LYSB and the Lyme Academy and the school system, of course, and the libraries, all who provide arts programming. So are people okay with us pursuing that?
Great.
Yes.
Makes
It's a great
sense.
idea.
Okay, great. Then I'll start
Yes,
reaching.
terrific.
Good. I'll start reaching out to some of those partner organizations and see if we can maybe start some conversations in the spring.
Thank you.
Okay. Then under number 5, dynamic resilient planning, we already got wonderful points for the POCD. And I'm just looking through here. There's a possibility we can have a small team work on assessing climate vulnerability. That's something maybe we can talk about in a future meeting, but I think that's a viable possibility for the future if we have a subcommittee work on that. And then also planning for long-term recovery. That's something I can send that to Mr. Roberge, our emergency management director, and see if that's something that's already underway, and tap into what possibly is already going on. Mary Jo, do you have a sense of that? This is like recovery after hurricanes and things like that.
I know there was a start made on that a few years ago. I do not know where Dave is at this point, so it makes sense to send that to him.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Okay, number 6, clean and diverse transportation systems. 2 things to talk about in this category. There are a group of residents in town, we're trying to figure out who could lead this group, but who are interested in zero emission vehicle, that category of zero emission vehicle deployment. But it has some sub actions that are things like assessing where it would be good to have electric vehicle charging stations, or to educate the public on electric vehicles. There might be some good activities there that we can support a subcommittee on, but we just need someone to kind of float to the top as a leader of that group. And of course, the school system is trying to find viable electric vehicle school buses, and I understand there's a little bit of trouble finding the right sort of vehicles for that. And I know it's always on the zoning commission's agenda. It often gets tabled because their agenda is so full, looking at zoning for EV charging stations. Any additional thoughts on that one? Okay, the other thing is kind of outstanding business that we have, and that is our walkability survey. We gave some initial findings to Mary Jo, read them to the Board of Selectmen, I think in August, and we created our final report, which included a suggestion of a walkability committee or group of residents to look at walkability in Old Lyme. And we haven't wrapped that up. We haven't provided that information to the Board of Selectmen. So I think we have to think about, one, how we're going to share that with the board, but also how perhaps that walkability, the committee idea could happen. Mary Jo, is that something you think we can get on the agenda, or?
Absolutely.
So we have to dust off that report.
Yep.
And I had a conversation with Tim Griswold about the idea of walkability, and an initial thought which we didn't work through too far, was having a subcommittee under this team. I don't know if that's the best feasibility for people looking at walkability or not, but we can continue to explore that, or the Board of Selectmen can explore whether they want that to be something the town focuses on.
Yeah, Cheryl, I'll try and poke around on my end on that. About 8 years ago, I asked for monies to be put aside the budget for a sidewalk on Route 1 and Town Woods Road. Basically, that's when the high school was being developed and the kids were being dropped off at Haynes Park, and they were walking in the street, and it was dangerous. And every year after that, there was a minimal amount of money put aside for testing or for in, I guess, engineering study, and it just kept being moved around. Finally, fell off the budget. But I noticed that it's back on the budget, or the proposed budget for next year. So I was pleasantly surprised. So I guess what I'm saying is would we be allowed to identify a certain part of town that needs walkability as opposed to the whole town under this bullet?
Well, we have the walk audit, which did include that little business area of Laysville,
Okay.
which is what you're talking about, Haynes Road and Town Woods, and it included Town Woods Road.
Okay.
We did the second phase of that audit just on Lyme Street.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could be and we have heard from some residents who have been concerned about walkability near the beaches and 156, which I know you've looked at quite extensively, Mary Jo. I mean, they could even, when you look at other towns who work on walkability, towns like Simsbury, they are looking at sidewalks, but they're also looking at things like promoting, especially during COVID, promoting walking the trails, or,
Okay.
safe places to bicycle and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's all to be considered, to be worked out.
Thank you.
So would the next step be, you're going to kind of look around and get some thoughts on that?
I think I have to, because especially since this is budget season, is if there's a way to emphasize certain of sustainable goals, I think we'll get support there. So yeah,
okay.
I will.
Oh, that's great.
It's nice.
Okay, Section 7, renewable and efficient energy infrastructure and operations. I think the thing to do here is to have a conversation with Phil Parkat, who is the Director of Facilities for the town of Old Lyme, and also sits on the Sustainability Committee for Region 18. He's involved with that initiative. So I think at a minimum, what we could perhaps do is just have a conversation with Bill and see if any of these activities like benchmarking energy use and things like that are things he's already thinking about. I don't think it's a very urgent matter, but it would be good to see what his thoughts are on this.
That's a good plan.
Okay. Number 8, inclusive engagement, communication, and education. We want to continue to keep our ear to the ground on sustainability events. There are going to be 2 in March at the library, which Sustainable Old Lyme is going to help promote. So that allows us to involve the town. But be sure, if conservation or anyone else is holding sustainability events or education opportunities, that we know that, and we can include that on our Excel sheet that we provide to Sustainable Connecticut. Let's see.
Cheryl, before you leave that topic, what exactly are the events in the library in March? Are they titled sustainability, or are they something else?
No, well, one is how to reduce your carbon footprint in a way that makes sense for you and your family. And another one is, I want to say it's renewable. Oh, I'm going to get this wrong. It's something about renewable energy resources. I'm not going to get it right, but I can look that up and send it out to everyone. It's a speaker.
Oh, well, okay, or I can check it at the library website.
Okay.
Just FYI, I have a lot of brochures and flyers about different subjects. So, you know, if it comes to the point where we could actually make those available, we'll see what fits. I'd be happy to put those into the mix.
Maureen, where do you put those out currently?
They're in my basement.
Oh,
because nobody has access to any other locations. However, wait a minute, I take that back. There is one place where I have put pick up after your dog poop information, and that is in the post office.
okay. Here is a thought.
They're just basically postcards, but they're very succinct about why you need to do it and where the nutrients, we'll call them, where they go and how they get into the water.
Right.
So right now it's only the library. I mean, only the post office.
Maureen, here's a thought to consider. What do you think about contacting 3 places? You're already talking to the post office, but the library has now reopened with, you know, you have to make an appointment to go in, but they're slowly opening within the pandemic guidelines and they've renovated. So the library and town hall, maybe we can have a special display area, or, you know, maybe the library even for 1 month would give us a display area. But would you like to pursue having display areas at our public buildings specific to sustainable old Lyme, where you would put out different sustainable materials?
Well, I have done that plenty of times, so sure, I can do that. The question would be how much and what do you want to put out? My suggestion is to target. You know, if you want to target the pollinators, that's one issue, or maybe a different one each month, but trying to cover the whole subject and starting off by explaining to people what is sustainability. There's the topic right there. But kids in school understand that, but whole families do not necessarily understand that. And the other thing too is having a to-do list. If you want people to reduce their carbon footprint, suggestions. But that stuff is available. I mean, we don't have to invent any of that stuff. It's just how you want to title it, how you want to approach it, and something that will last, for example, over the year. Sustainable old Lyme means what? We probably need a tag name too.
I like that.
I think it's exciting. I think that's just an awesome idea, and certainly it fits under this action item too. That's a great idea.
I think that's great, Maureen, as well.
Well, so my suggestion to the group, be thinking of what the tagline is. You know, we know what it means, but how do you bring it down to a bullet? You know, what's the real nut of the program? And yeah, I mean, I'll do that. I'll figure it out. I've worked at the library a lot in the past.
Maureen, you said that, I mean, it's not, maybe you're not thinking of it as a tagline, but you said, what is sustainable old Lyme? Maybe every month you do something like, what is a sustainable old Lyme? Almost like a ... And then you have a different theme every month. It's, you know, well-stewarded land, or it's you know, some of the concepts that you already have your brochures for, like some of the ways to be sustainable. I mean, the easy example is pollinators. So what is a sustainable old Lyme? And then that month's tagline, you could come up with something snazzier than I can, but it's it's an old Lyme that supports pollinators. And then you have out your not your little materials, your materials that are related to that. For your, you know, research.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll figure it out.
I think that's great.
That's great.
Okay, good. Okay. Also in that category, I'm going to jump first to 8.5, collaborate with other municipalities. So we've started doing that with Lyme. We're kind of their official mentor as they start up in creating sustainable Lyme. We're going to get points for being their mentor, and they're going to get points for being a mentee. And then in addition to that, if we collaborate on any given action, such as that youth art programming, we will get points for that as well. And then in addition to that, 8.4 is working on that community or taking advantage of that community match fund. So perhaps that's something we can think about in earnest in our next meeting about the match fund and things we might want to consider pursuing with that.
Say a bit more about that one, Cheryl. I'm not looking at the thing. Taking advantage of community match. What does that mean?
So Sustainable Connecticut has a match fund where if we...
Oh, I see. Okay. I get it. Yeah. Okay. Much money. You're talking money. Great.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
We have some projects that perhaps could benefit from that. So, but we want to be kind of strategic in what we pursue or not.
So Cheryl, how do we support it?
So on our end, let's say we want to do, well, I know Essex did one for electric vehicle charging stations. They wanted to get one at I think at Town Hall. So they put out on, it's kind of like a Kickstarter site, but it's another name.
Mm-hmm.
And they put out to the community, do you want to support this electric vehicle charging station? And for whatever money we raise, Sustainable Connecticut will match up to $7,500.
Crowdsource, isn't it?
I guess it's kind of crowdsourcing, but it's more importantly, Sustainable Connecticut matches whatever money is crowdsourced. So crowdsourcing is the first step, and then Sustainable Connecticut matches it.
Right.
And then some towns have done it for pollinator pathway things. Some have done it for, I'm sure, like homelessness issues and other issues around that category. So it's something perhaps we can delve into that more in the next meeting and really think about which of our priorities we might want to go after match funding. Yeah.
It's a great concept.
Yeah, and we didn't really take advantage of it last time because we were just so busy, but I think now we can really think about that. It might even be another one we can put on the table would be something about the combined trail maps for open space and land trust. I don't know, there's lots of different ideas we can think about. Or education that Conservation Commission wants to do. Lots of different ways to go. Okay, strategic materials management. In my conversation with Tim, he has the template. It's kind of an Excel sheet that Sustainable Connecticut asks a lot of questions about materials management, which is basically garbage collection and recycling. So I have to give him the final document now that it's January and Sustainable finalized their documents, but he is in a good position to pursue that information for us. So that's 9.1. I'll say he was also very interested in composting, and knew that maybe RiverCog, I don't have the notes in front of me, but RiverCog had a deal a few years ago that you could buy at a discount compost bins. And so we can perhaps look into that again and maybe do some compost education and make available compost bins for families in Old Lyme. And then under section 10, one thing I'll share here, there's develop and promote community growing spaces. Maybe in one of the coming months, we can invite to share with us his project, Jim Ward, who is working on a giving garden at Town Woods. I think that's what he's pursuing. I don't know if it's been gotten the go-ahead yet, but that is a little bit different than a community growing space, which is where people can go, you know, as a resident. If I don't have a yard that allows me to do some vegetable gardening, I can go to a community growing space and have a small plot there. So what Jim is doing is a little bit different than what Sustainable Connecticut is looking at, but it might be something we can collaborate with him on within this framework. Next up, healthy, efficient, and diverse housing. Mary Jo, if you're still on the line, I'm pretty sure the temporary housing committee is going to become, or is turning over its work to a more permanent affordable housing commission or committee.
That's the hope, Cheryl. We have to approve an ordinance at town meeting later this month. And once we get an ordinance for an affordable housing commission passed, then we can set up a commission, a formal commission.
Okay. Okay. So the temporary committee has created a white paper, I believe, and I haven't seen it.
It hasn't quite come out yet.
Okay. All right. And I had given them the parameters that Sustainable Connecticut was looking for, which in no way was a mandate to the town, but they knew what we were looking for. And so I'll see in their white paper if some of that is in their white paper, and if not, we can pass that information on to the permanent commission.
That's great. I still think if you want, can have Mike Foliano, the chair, send you a draft. I haven't seen it either, but I'm sure he would share the draft if you wanted.
Oh, okay. All right, good.
Shit. Okay, one thing.
Maureen, did you want to share something? Oh, wait, I think Maureen's muted. Okay. Okay, that was housing. Homelessness, we do not have to do this year, but I think Jen Datum, who's our social service director, she and Mary Steiner from LYSB participate in a regional, it's called ICAN, ICAN network. And so we can have them work on this 12.3 collect and share homelessness data. That's fairly straightforward. And then the innovative strategies and practices, that was action 10 in 2020. And that is where we come up with our own action. Holly, are you still on the line?
I am still on the line. I have to say though, I'm a little bit scared about this possibility of proposing a green reading group. I'm sort of it looks like I don't want to bite off more than I can chew, and then sort of not be doing things. I don't know if anybody else wants to work with me on that, or if And I haven't spoken to the library yet, so I need to just sort of see what's going on with that. And also, as I've said, while the pandemic's going on from now till June anyway, I feel like I'm a little busy with other things. But I'm not saying no. I'm just sort of saying I think it would be great to have a green reading group. I'm just sort of thinking I'm not sure I can run one or spearhead one.
Do you want to share with the others what the idea is? And if we just want to keep it in the hopper for the future, that's fine. But why don't you share with them what your concept is?
Well, my concept would be like basically a green book group where we meet once a month and talk about what's out there in the world of books about the environmental situation. There's so many great books out there, and the emissions gap report that the United Nations published back in I think early December was a big deal. The richest 1% of the world is using more carbon than the poorest 50%. So, and how you bring down your carbon footprint it's very technical. I think it's really hard to figure it out. I'm really looking forward to this lecture at the library that's coming up, but it's very hard to get your mind around it quickly. There's a lot of good books out there, and I think it would be worthwhile getting a green reading group together, but I think it's important to do it right. And so I don't know. I want to put out feelers to see if maybe we could get someone who's more on top of some of these things than I am, who could do it.
Well, Holly, what comes to my mind is maybe blend that in with what the library and sustainable would do. So suggest maybe I'm sure they've got knowledge on how to set up either a reading group or a virtual reading group or a reading list, if nothing else. So I could make that part of my chat with them initially is what do we plan to do, what fits with their schedule. And for example, in the past when I have done exhibits there, they're really super at pulling books off the shelf or borrowing them and making a book exhibit that blends in with the overall exhibit so that people can check those items out. There's so much on the internet that could be a suggested reading list as well, or podcasts. So if you don't have a start on it, I could initiate it with the library.
Yeah, no, if you wanted to reach out to the library, I think they may have already done green reading lists and set aside books of environmental books, shelves of environmental books. But yeah, I think that starting out small with just book lists might be a good way to get started. And again, what books count as legitimate is there's a huge debate about that. There's a lot of books out there that seem to be half right from what I can tell.
Right. Okay.
I have to say, I think
right.
potentially
we'll
this is one of the most
offer.
important things.
I'm going to start with their calendar and their plans for the year, and maybe we can track out an approach, a long-term approach.
Okay. The other side, though, is I'm just saying that I can't do very much. Maureen, I really don't want to be dumping more stuff on you. You're already doing so very much, and I don't want to punish a good deed and give you more to do. So
Thank you.
let's make haste
you.
slowly.
Right now, I'm going to focus on the library and exhibiting there, and duplicating it at town hall. And I'm also holding back a little bit because I've got a knee replacement date coming up, so I've got to be able to negotiate and perambulate in conjunction with that. So, I'll do what I can. I'll see what they say. That's what I'm offering.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Maureen, I think that's a really great idea. It's a way of making that exhibit idea that you first considered more robust to build in kind of the reading, suggested reading. And Holly, to your point, some books are controversial or not. And I think maybe that's part of equitable and inclusive thinking is to share with people both sides of the coin.
Yeah, and let people say, I can't figure out, for example, are air source heat pumps green or not. I don't want to get onto a tangent into too much inside baseball, but I can't figure it out. And there's a lot of stuff where I think a person can honestly not understand it. So, that's where, a reading group could help.
I'll just do the library part of it. I'm not proposing that I will lead a book group. I'm just proposing to bring the library and into the whole effort here. See what they say. How can we blend it in? How can we do it efficiently? How can we just enlarge? I like the word robust. Make their effort more robust and built. They've got a lot of technology and certainly the experts at doing research.
Yeah. Okay, then Maureen, I'll wait to hear what you say next. And I'll sneak around on their website and see what's going on. But
yeah, that's a start. That's good.
I don't know if it's worth also as an innovation action proposing that we be marketing Old Lyme as a place for people from the nearby cities to visit, rather than getting on an airplane and going to South America for the weekend. Local tourism is much greener than tourism where you go far away.
I think that comes under the Economic Development Commission and their work to promote arts tourism. And I'm just speaking specifically to the municipal because that's what we can focus on. The Arts District and the arts organizations, and then Black Hall Outfitters all focus on tourism with the state, but those aren't the town. So I think Economic Development.
So that's under 2.
Economic Development Commission. I am having a lot of static. Economic Development Commission is starting to think or to put more strategy behind both the arts economy and then the what they're calling, I think, outdoor recreation economy here.
Okay.
So we can keep plugged into that.
Okay, so that's under 2, the Economic Development Commission.
Yeah.
And this is Maureen again. Just for what it's worth, big ad in today's paper encouraging people, if they're looking to sell their homes, that this is a great time to do it. The title of the ad is "They're Coming." There's a lot of people, it's very clever. A lot of people who are leaving the city and the crowded areas in order to bring their kids into a town that is managing, it's not perfect, but managing to control the virus, keeping kids in school, keeping them educated, and having ways to get out and be healthy in fresh air rather than walking the streets of New York. So I'll get that ad again. But the realtors in this area are really interested in promoting Old Lyme.
And along those lines, Maureen, I heard the Regional School District Board of Ed meeting yesterday that 7 more students are interested in paying tuition and coming to our schools this month alone.
Wow. That's really good. Okay, any other thoughts or comments on 2021 initiatives?
I think it's great. Just speaking, as a select woman, I so appreciate this effort. I know how much work it is. And it just, it just supports our residents. So thank you so much. This whole team is amazing.
Thank you. Okay. So before we make a motion to adjourn, our plan is in the coming month to kind of think through our agenda. For instance, we talked about, or I suggested perhaps next time we talk in earnest about the match fund and how we want to maybe pursue that. And Patsy and Tink, you both have mentioned that St. Anne's is interested in being a part of the meeting or presenting to us, or what?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize for bringing that to you so late. And that was really our, we stumbled on that. But they got into their environment committee, or I'm not sure exactly the progression, but they're very much interested in what's going on. And they asked, I think Anita, the priest in charge, asked, could they just come to our meeting? And we said no because it was too early. But the question is, what kind of being part of it is wise coming to this kind of meeting? Can they be invited? Should they be invited? Who would be invited?
So I guess, in the last 6 months or so, we've gotten a little more formalized in how we are doing our meetings because we've just gotten a lot of clarity from the Board of Selectmen on what we should or shouldn't be doing. So first of all, this is a public meeting and anyone can attend it. So that's
Okay.
why I'm hoping that we can put on the agenda public comment.
There's your dog.
I don't know whose dog that is, but it sounds big. So anyone can attend our meetings, but if they want to participate, if someone wants to be a part of our meetings and take on some work as part of our core committee, they should put in an application to the town to be considered as a volunteer applicant to the Sustainable Old Lyme team, like we all did, and then they would be approved by the Board of Selectmen.
They put in an application to do what? What did you say specifically? Put in an application to be
to the Board
part of the team?
To the Board of Selectmen, a volunteer application to become part of the Sustainable Old Lyme team.
Okay.
And that's if they want to help take on some of these initiatives and work on behalf of the municipality.
So probably the best idea for people would be to attend first and then see whether they want to be part of the team.
Yeah, to either sit in or to watch this meeting on YouTube or other meetings on YouTube. They all go on YouTube.
Okay.
But if they would like to come and present to us what they're doing in the environmental committee at St. Anne's, and then we can have a discussion of how we might collaborate, I think that's great.
Okay.
Do you think they might want to do that?
Well, let's explore it. Don't you think, Patsy? We're going to be meeting with them this afternoon and see what we're fascinated by what they're doing, and I think
They're moving in a lot of directions.
yeah. So why don't we just ask them, Cheryl? Tell them that the one way to do it is to put in an application to be part of the team and to watch this on YouTube or however else, and then see how they might whether they have somebody. Geez, terrible static.
I know. So would people here be interested in having St. Anne's present to us what they're doing at our next or a future meeting? And then we can talk about how to collaborate with St. Anne's Environmental Committee?
I think the thing is they're in so many directions.
Yeah.
I don't think they have a particular focus
No.
right now. And I think that's
it's too
the
early.
beauty. It's too early, and also that's the beauty of them because they're so wide ranging.
I think they definitely want to be part of the pollinator pathway, judging from the meetings we've already been to. They're very,
Yeah, so they sent someone, I think it's Mac Mumer, came to the Pollinator Pathway partner meeting, the Zoom meeting. So they are already involved in Pollinator Pathway. So perhaps maybe there was some confusion and they just wanted to make sure that they were involved in that particular initiative, and they don't necessarily need to consider, being part of the whole team.
Well, I think that would be an excellent way to start with the church, is to ask them if that particular pathway is something they want to adopt and provide volunteers for. There's so much on our list right now, at least my mind a little boggled. At least I have my own little corner of it. But it would be an excellent way to bring in extra people to this whole movement that we're trying to do. We certainly cannot do all of this with this small group of people, a half dozen people. And there's a very major effort, collaborating with others, showing up, participating, like I'm planning to do with the library. They're not solo activities. They're designed to be collaborative. And a simple question to St. Anne's would be, you seem to be interested in this. Would you consider adopting it? And there's plenty of resources. You don't have to invent how to do this. And then bringing in the garden club. I'm wondering if even St. Anne's is interested in providing the land to do it. They have a chunk of land, and they may be interested in dedicating some of that land to a pollinator garden. And there's certainly plenty of resources even in town with the gardeners that are available. It also may tie into bringing in the town of Lyme.
So, Maureen, you were on a fabulous vacation when we had.
It wasn't a vacation.
Okay.
I was away, but it wasn't a vacation.
Okay. I hope it was enjoyable, though.
Thank you.
You, in December, we had the partner meeting. So St. Anne's is already involved in the pollinator pathway, and they are going to do a garden, or they have a garden already, but they're already involved in the pollinator pathway as one of many gardens in Old Lyme. And then also, I think the Lyme Land Trust also sat in, because the Lyme Land Trust land is adjacent to Old Lyme land. So I think we have probably 10 or 15 anchor gardens, and then we're going to be reaching out to residents to encourage them to have pollinator-friendly practices on their home property.
I don't know if you have a question attached to that. Whatever the question is, the answer is no, because I can't take that on. I'll do the library project.
No, Maureen, I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, it's all under control. It's already moving forward. St. Anne's is on board. Lyme's on board. We got all kinds of things going on already.
Yeah,
But we could just.
Let's not forget that there's a part of a garden at Haynes Park.
Yes,
which Linda Clow had developed, and she is proposing new to add to the plant there, and Conservation Commission is going to give her some money to buy the plants.
Yes.
So she's another resource, including the fact that she's not only on Duck Rivers, maybe or their board or something, but she's a master gardener. So there are good resources and already established efforts.
Maureen,
we're looking to bring together.
Maureen,
sorry. Yeah.
Linda Clow's already on board. She and George sat in on the meeting. They were one of the 26. Where Haynes Park is already on the list. So we're good, and we've got Linda fully engaged.
Was the Lyme Library on that list?
No.
because they have that garden, that sort of wild garden.
Yeah, you know what? We need to stay focused on Old Lyme though for pollinate Old Lyme. So
Okay.
I just want to say these are all great ideas, and we're already moving forward. So I can. Suzanne Thompson was writing up notes from that December meeting, and you all will get those notes on who attended that meeting and how we're moving forward. I lost track of what I was saying. Okay. Any other thoughts?
I think we've covered a lot.
I have
We
a
have.
question.
We have.
I have a question with this. This is Tink. With the collaboration between towns, and the question, just now, the Lyme Library. How does a town? How would the Lyme Library get involved in something that's already moving along? I mean, that's one of the collaborations, but I know you said it's the old Lyme Sustainable Committee, but how would the Lyme Sustainable Committee connect with the pollinator gardens if it hasn't already?
So, Tink, based on yesterday's meeting, I think Lyme is deciding what its priorities are. So someone is looking at that pollinator action, and they're deciding if that's something that Lyme wants to work on.
Okay, so whoever's in charge. Okay. I didn't hear. I mean, I didn't hear everything covered. But anyhow, that's okay. Thank you.
We can talk later today if you like by phone after this meeting is over to further clarify that.
Well, it's okay. We'll just see. Give it some time to move along.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, just a reminder that the Planning Commission is meeting on January 14, and you can access that through a WebEx connection. But it's to approve the draft of changes to the Plan of Conservation and Development. So anybody of this group or otherwise is interested in town's housing, zoning, I'm quoting here, town's housing and zoning, longstanding preference for local shoppers along commercial district of Halls Road, and to maintain the small town character of Old Lyme, blah, 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 blah. So if you want, I can send that reminder out to this group that'll have the WebEx connection to it. The other thing that this plan is also published in the CT Examiner, ctexaminer.com. So it may be of interest to anybody that's following some of these topics: health, wellness, housing, that type of thing.
Maureen, did CT Examiner get the plan yet? Last I read in the article the other day, they didn't have the final draft yet.
Well, this reminder to me is very recent, within a couple of days, and the meeting is set for the 14th, and that's to present the draft of the Plan of Conservation and Development.
Okay, so we don't have the draft yet, right? The final
No, but you
draft?
can access it. That's what I'm offering to send. Is if you want to access the plan, I'll send out to this group the email.
So you have so you have a link to the plan itself.
I have a link to the CT Examiner.
Oh, okay.
It has the plan.
I thought they didn't have the plan yet, but okay. Yeah, if you haven't seen the CT Examiner article yet, it's very good. So,
I'll send it out.
Okay, good. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved. And thank you, Cheryl, for keeping everything organized, including all of us.
Um,
Yes, it-
before we adjourn, should we be scheduling our next meeting before we adjourn?
Oh, yeah. A question. Do you want to keep this as the first Thursday of the month? That would bring us up to February 4.
Maureen, didn't you submit all of our meetings to Town Hall as the first Thursday of the month?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to keep it that way.
Well, I think that was kind of the legal thing we had to do.
Right. So is everybody agreeing to this schedule, first Thursday, 9 a.m.?
That's great.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Cheryl,
Thank you, Maureen.
and everybody. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good job.
So,
Do I have a
Yeah.
second to adjourn the meeting?
so moved.
Right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay,
So,
got it.
so much.
great meeting.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.